Mónica Ossandon fell in love with yoga in Santiago de Chile in 2008 and has dedicated her life to her practice ever since. She moved to Buenos Aires to continue her practice at Bikram Yoga Buenos Aires in 2009 and went to Bikram's teacher training spring of 2011 in Los Angeles, where she learned to guide a scripted Bikram yoga class in English, a language she didn't know at the time. After Monica traveled the world as a traveling Bikram teacher for 3 years, teaching all over South and Central America, she landed here in Dallas, Texas. Monica is a mother to Pia, a wife to Andrew, and an incredible force of positivity and vibrant life to her yoga community and friends. She credits her yoga practice to that palatable force of life and positivity in her character, which she's known for. And it's her mission to open that path of health and happiness to all of her students. Welcome, Monica.
Oh, gracias, Lynn. You're
Yes.
so
Oh, it's
nice.
so true. Just speaking from the whole community, very easy to say those things. So happy to be interviewing you today for our viewers. I know we have so many students that are interested in your life, so I'm happy to share your story with them because there's so many wonderful stories to know about you that I didn't even know upon getting to know you as one of my friends. So I want to share that. Can we start with your yoga path? I would love to hear how it began. How did you find yoga? What was going on in your life? What were you like before yoga when you found it? And how did it create a transformation for you?
Okay, it wasn't starting with a yoga class. Actually, I was in acting school in Chile. I was going to this very special acting school that is called La Mancha in Chile. It's a method that is very intense. Kind of like you get immersed 2 years, like 24/7 in this program that really changed my life and like in the most wonderful way. And it was like a perfect preparation for me to receive this practice when finally I learned it like a few years later. But it taught me discipline and self-control and do the things in the right way and work in community and so many like good values for life. And we were having like all kind of classes that included a lot of like fitness in preparation of because you needed to be able to know yourself, your body, to control the body, the breath, and bring it to a neutral space to be able to um, create in base like kind of like a blank page. It was super interesting. So it's like the first thing we did every single morning was like moving the body and getting in connection with ourselves to be able to kind of like clear up everything what we have and be a blank page to write whatever we wanted on top of that. It's like it's difficult to explain. Whatever. Anyways, we had movement classes, so we did a little bit of yoga every morning for me without knowing that that was yoga.
Yeah.
So it was a very smooth transition into this love for the connection with the breath, creating mind-body connection, the movement, the stretching, the feeling good when you feel your best physically and mentally.
Beautiful. So how old were you when you went through that?
I started when I was 24.
24.
So
So that was
24,
after college.
25.
And you come from the arts. You studied graphic design in undergrad, right?
Yes, exactly. So I finished college and like for me, I never had a clear path of what I wanted to do for life. Nothing like sparked joy so much that I wanted to follow that. So it was very difficult for me to choose a career, and it was kind of like discarding what I could do instead of what I would love to do. It was like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like this, I think I could be good on this, I think like this is interesting, okay, I will do this. So that's is how I choose to get into graphic design. That it's fun, it's interesting, it is like I can do it. I am good at it, but it never felt like a passion in life. I never feel like a call towards like
Right.
that path. So it was in the look, in the search for a more meaningful life and way of living and way of like I didn't want it to be. I didn't want to be doing something for most of my life that didn't fill my heart. Um, so I was like, okay, what I can do? Okay, I finished college. I did great. Like, I can do this, but I don't want to do it. So I was like, okay, I needed something else. So in that search, I went to this acting school that was so out of books. You know, I was like in front of my computer and studying and doing and reading but so much kind of into I know like
Embodiment, like having to be in front of people and just do stuff.
exactly. I feel so much more joy doing things than to kind of like with the body than like learning or like being in front of the computer like doing clicks here and there. I don't I cannot do like life like that.
I think anybody that knows you and has taken your class feels this, like that you have this vibrant clarity of joy of what and how you're investing in your life and how you're serving with your yoga. It's just like so clear in taking your class and talking to you about yoga and just knowing you as a yogi and as a teacher. Just like that clarity of purpose is right there, and it's like kind of helping everybody access their clarity of purpose, or what is that, or you know what I mean. And so it's interesting hearing that you came from a place of not being sure of what you wanted to do, not having that clarity, to experiencing such clarity. So I want to hear about your first Bikram class. How did that go down?
It was like kind of like yes, it was that the clarity was there like oh I want this and I don't want anything else in my life. It was like so clear from the first. Okay, so the first yoga class kind of go back to
Absolutely.
the okay, so after college I was like okay, I don't want this. I was in the search. I found this acting school. I found out on the way that maybe acting and creating in that way wasn't my path, but it helped me to prepare for sure. It gave me so many tools and helped me time kind of like to shake it off what like the mold with being like part of a very structured mold and do something completely different. So then I passed that. When I finished that acting school, that was so wonderful. Like I'm so glad I did. It was one of the best thing in my life. I started doing yoga with my friends from acting school. We every time we were getting together to rehearsal, we were doing yoga because one of the members in that company, Marce, she was an Ashtanga yogi. So she practiced Ashtanga. She had an Ashtanga background. So she was the leader of our warm up series to be just get warm up to be able to create and then start like rehearsing and playing or creating what we were doing. So that was my introduction. So we were doing yoga with Marce pretty much every day. Um, and then I wanted to continue to kind of like, oh, I really like this. This feels awesome. I want to find a studio and start doing this like as a part of my life.
Were you physical before? What did you do before to take care of your body? What did you, what were you
Yes
like?
and no. I always did some kind of sport, but I never went into a competitive level in anything I did. But I did some gymnastic when I was little. I did synchronized swimming. I played volleyball, some like track and field maybe when I was little too. Then in college when I was like suffering so much being disconnected from my body, One of the elective classes that I could take for credits, it was swimming lessons. So then I started swimming, and that kind of like saved my life, made me feel like so much better. Um, and then at some point, I was riding my bike as a main of transportation. That was the way that I was moving around the city, just with the bicycle. So, yes, I was always a pretty active person and doing things like never sedentary, always like moving, but never in a competitive level. Like, no.
Not like something that caught your eye was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to this physical thing.
No, although when I was in high school and we did this tests where the results are your orientations of what should be your path for college. It says in one of them that I should be a PE teacher. PE, physical education.
Absolutely, I could see it. Basically what we're doing.
I should have listened to that instead of going to graphic design school. Maybe my life could have been so much easier and better. But I'm here. I'm happy. So I was living in a place and like in my little house by myself in Santiago, in this beautiful place in El de Arrayan, very close to the mountains, just like in the valley, right, like down the mountain. And there was a Bikram yoga studio there that I had no idea which kind of yoga was that. I just saw the big picture of Bikram doing spine twisting in like this building. So one day I went there and like knock knock. It's like, hey, what's this yoga studio? I want to do yoga. And they explain, okay, this is hot yoga, na 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 na. I was like, okay, I want to do it. So I started with the intro that was 1 week. And the first class, I just fell in love with it. It was like, I don't know, like how you said, like that clarity just came right in, and let's say like, oh my gosh, I really love this. I love everything about it. I love the discipline. I love the clarity. I love like the no messing around. I love the clear rules. I love the intensity of the work. I love how it make me feel. I love that it's like I felt like I'm in a little bubble. It's like I'm coming into this little bubble that I'm protected from whatever is wrong out there in the world, and just like being able to be just like here and with myself. I don't know, I just like it was so awesome from day number one. There's like nothing that I didn't. Okay, there was like carpet in that studio. It was stinky, very stinky.
Okay, what year was this? Because a lot of those studios had carpet.
I know.
It was like how it was back in the day, right? Like you kind of had to have carpet. I don't know. There was some kind of rule, or I don't know.
Yeah, there was a rule. And actually, I got athlete's foot the first day.
Oh wow.
So I had to like I was like, what happened the day after? I was like, my feet are itchy. Like so. Oh my gosh! Of course, it's because this yoga, but I loved it so much. So I'm going to come back. I went to the pharmacy. I got some like ointments and like some treatment for the thing. And I just kept going and keep using the treatment for the athlete's foot every time I went to that studio because every time I forgot to do it or to bring the little ointment, the athlete's foot came back. It was like bad.
Oh
anyway, anyway, that didn't do any. This didn't discourage me to keep going.
Coming.
Yeah.
So, do you remember that first class? Do you remember what it was like for you? Like, did you lay down? Did you love it the whole time? Did you just like own it? Do you remember who was your first teacher?
What was
your first impression?
Yeah, his name is Jaime. I remember him. I remember it was kind of in the middle of the day, maybe 4 p.m., something like that. So it wasn't crowded. Just like I don't know how many people. But I will say maybe 10, 15, no more than that. Um, I I did okay, but I was so disciplined by my acting school that I was listening every word and doing everything that they said. So it's like, okay, if you're in your first week, don't kick in a standing head to knee. They used to do that. So I was like right there, okay, and this is my first week, I'm not kicking. I'm holding my foot here, I'm not kicking. And I remember the third day, the same teacher was like, why you are not kicking? You're ready to kick. It's like, because I am in my first week, this is my third day, and you said don't kick if you're, no, you're ready for kick. Kick. I was like, okay, I'll kick. So it was like singing every single thing that they said. I was like, okay, yes. Like, I remember that in the sit up, I have back issues. So since like I was born, I know that I have these back conditions. So my doctors always said, never do a sit up with the legs straight. If you're going to do a sit up, do it always with the knees bent and pressing down on the floor with the knees bent. So my entire life, I did that. They said never avoid any exercise that you are belly down and lifting backward. It's like that's not good for you. Like you shouldn't do wheel or any of those things. So it's like avoiding every single of those things during my life. And in that first class, I said like the guy asked like, why you're doing the sit-ups with the knees bent? It's because I have these back issues. I cannot do it. The doctor said. So like, if you have back issues, that's why you have to do it in the right way. So do it, and it will fix your back. I was like, okay. So like the first time ever, it's like, okay, it's okay to don't do what the doctor says, and let's do it the yogi way. I'm going to go all in. I don't know why. Like I was just trusting every single word and following. I was like a little doggy, like yes. Okay.
Wow.
And I don't know. It wasn't super challenging physically. I mean, it was challenging, but I wasn't dying. I could do it because I was prepared by my acting school.
That's
Prepared
so
me
cool to
very
me.
well.
Wow.
Yeah.
They must have been intense.
Super intense.
Wow.
Way more intense than Bikram Yoga Teacher training or anything like that.
Just very
Way more
disciplined.
super disciplined. So
I say
intense.
this, you do this. Like just credibility of your teachers and just
Yeah.
like taking their word for it and really going through the process.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that really got you ready for it. I
Yeah.
see that. That's cool.
Yeah, and they were very good role models. I mean, I trusted and I was able to trust in people and the words because they demonstrated how being clear. I don't know. I mean, like they were so consistent with their words and their actions, and it was so clear that that was the right path. And every time you try to bend the rule, then the things like nothing good comes from that. That it's like just like prepare me to really trust in these Bikram yoga teachers and the Bikram yoga practice, and just like let go any of the judgments and go for it.
Wow, that's really cool that you like went through this rigorous program in acting school. You loved the program, you loved what it taught you. You didn't necessarily like you came out of there not like dying to act, but it like changed your character. And then you took this yoga stuff and like it you it like created a palette to be able to really excel. That's really cool.
It is just, it's awesome.
It is.
Thank
I
you
never
for
knew
letting me
that.
realize that, because sometimes it's like we just go in life.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in college, like with my friends, we were partying one night, like we had like have this like very philosophic conversation with these specific friends that I love so much. And I was so depressed because I wasn't in my path. I was doing something that I knew it wasn't for me. It felt in every single way that it was wrong, but I didn't know what was my path, what I should pursue. And this guy, we were like kind of like having like a side conversation, like there was this group of people and we were kind of lying back and like just talking like here behind the other people. And he said like, just don't worry. If you were born to be a hammer, the nails will fall from the sky. It's part of a song. It's in Spanish, but that's kind of like the direct translation of it.
If you were born to be a hammer, then nails will fall from the
Yeah,
sky.
so
That's
like you will do,
beautiful.
you're like, but you just
What's
need
that
to.
song called in Spanish? Maybe
I
people
don't
can YouTube
know.
it.
It's
Right,
Rubén
YouTube.
Blades. Si naciste
Ooh.
martillo, del cielo te caen los clavos.
Oh, I love
I'm not sure. I will have to search.
that.
We
That's
can put it in the
beautiful.
comments.
Yes, I would love
Okay.
that. But beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell me a little more about that conversation.
I don't remember anything else. Just like that moment, that phrase, it was like, okay, it was just be patient. Your path is going to clear up, and you will know what are you are meant to be one of these days. It's like the universe, like will bring it up, like
Mhm.
somehow. Just don't worry, just trust. Like you will find what you are meant to be.
Mhm. Beautiful.
The
It's
universe
so
will provide. Like yeah.
it's so beautiful to learn that at one point in your life you were uncertain and a bit, yeah, lost, but still moving forward. For me, I'm always in a contemplative space and like kind of, not, I feel like, as grounded in my path and clarity all the time as you are, and I can really get that grounding sense from you, and which I really lean into your energy as a teacher. But it is just astonishing to me, knowing you only in this season of your life, and with that clarity that you at one point didn't have it. It's just amazing. I'm like, I can't even picture it, but I'm like,
But
wow, something happened.
yeah, and I was
Something
completely
happened.
lost, and I felt like helpless, and I didn't know what to do, and I had no idea what to do with my life. The only thing that I knew is that I was in the wrong path, and I don't know what to do to get out of there and be in my path, because I had no idea what that path could look like. Had no idea. I was totally lost. And I was like, okay, I guess I have to keep
going on
going
inside
and
the
like just wait for the universe
Right.
to like throw those nails so I can
Yeah.
grab my hammer and
Right.
like nail it.
Yes, because there's like this path that, like, I feel like is the orthodox path, or the main, the mainstream. You do this, and then you do this, and you do this, and a lot of times, fresh out of college, it's like you start to like jump through all those extra hoops, and you're like, wait a second, I'm able to make my own choices. I'm not happy. I don't know if this is the direction I want to go. And some people can continue on that for a whole life. It's just it's beautiful that, yeah, this yoga like hit you and kind of like gave you that deep sense of clarity. Okay, I want to hear more about your time in Chile when you were practicing Bikram in Chile. Okay, so you had that first week. They were like, okay, third day kick out. What, did you keep on practicing with them?
Yeah, what happened was, so after acting school, I still didn't know what to do with my life. It wasn't obvious like that, okay, that this is my new path. No, it was great. It was okay. We did some plays and some touring, and it was
Cool.
fun, but it wasn't my path still. So I was still kind of like in that disappointing state of like, okay, what I'm going to do with my life? I have no idea. But one thing, it was clear that I want to be happy, and I'm not going to settle. I'm going to keep searching, keep looking for things, but I don't know what it is yet. And at that point, I was 27 years old. And so I was like, at that point, just studying all my life, never working. I was just working a few days in this bar restaurant, like serving tables, just to get some money to get by to pay the rent, and just live the day. Uh, Trying to so I didn't have a lot of money, and I was like something that it is stuck in my mind that I left my parents' house. I mean, my mom and dad, they were divorced since like I was little, so I was living with my mom. When I went to acting school, the second year of acting, I moved in with friends. And then since then, it's like I'm not coming back to live with either of my parents. I'm going to be independent, and I'm not going to let that money kind of like be a problem for me. I'm just like going to just work to get the money I need, and I'm not going to stress about it and whatever. But I didn't have a lot of money, and this Bikram yoga was super expensive back then. So anyway, I was just like, because I was trying to realize try to find what is my path and what I would do for life. Was a little lost, and the summer right before I took my very first Bikram yoga class, I I was traveling with my acting friends in Uruguay, and I met this Argentinian guy. So we're starting having a relationship, a long distance relationship. We started like visiting each other, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's great. This guy is awesome. We're having like the best time ever, but what we'll do? And I felt like I had this little thing inside of me that I wanted to travel the world since I was little. But I always thought like, okay, it's going to be just vacations. I just need to travel during vacation time. That's what I thought. Anyway, I met this Argentina guy. We were having the best time, and I didn't know what to do with my life. But one of the things is I knew it's like I wanted to share my life with someone, and I was in love with this guy. So we decided to move together. He said like, come here to Buenos Aires. You can live with me. I was like, okay.
Oh, so that's how you ended up in Argentina.
Yes, it wasn't because Bikram yoga, because when I moved to Argentina, there wasn't a Bikram yoga studio there. So I told you I'm like an expert to make short story long.
We want to hear it. We want to hear it.
So Ariel, my Argentinian love, we moved. Okay. So I started kind of like closing my life in Chile to move to Argentina. And in that process was when I found Bikram Yoga Studio. But I had the plan. It was like I had 1 month and a half since I took my first class before my moving date to Argentina. And that's why too, like that's other thing that happened. That's why I started talking about this, because it was a little pricey. So I was like, okay, and I didn't have a lot of money, and I wasn't wanting to ask my parents to pay for my yoga classes. I was like, no, like I was like, I am independent right now. I'm going to use the money that I have for my things. So finally, I decided, okay, I'm moving to Argentina. I kind of like to wrap up everything. I started working as much as I could in this bar, and I was also working in this ski center in the weekends. So I'm closing everything in my life, like closing projects with the acting people, and getting rid of things to leave. And then it's like, okay, now I have more time. I just like work in these places. I am not creating with the acting people. I'm just like getting ready to move. It's like, okay, now I have a little money. I have more time. I'm going to try this Bikram yoga before I go. So I got hooked in the first week, and then said like, okay, it doesn't matter. I'm going to start like, I'm going to pay for a month, unlimited after this, because I love it too much. I cannot live without this right now. I remember to think the only thing that could make me stay here right now in Chile, if they ask me and the Bikram Yoga Studio to stay. If they say stay, I will stay.
Oh
like,
my gosh,
it was
you
like,
loved them.
I loved it so
you
much.
loved it.
But I also like, I didn't know what to do. It was so expensive. If I was staying in Chile, it was going to be like just miserable for me to try to just work specifically to pay rent and pay yoga, pay rent and pay yoga. Like, I don't know. It's like, and like, I didn't know that would be my path in life. I was like, okay,
You just knew you had to keep going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I fell in love. I only practiced for a month and a half, and then I moved to Argentina. Um, I moved to Argentina. I gave it a try to this new life in a new country. And it was hard, but great. I mean, I wanted to do it. I did it with all my heart. It was great. I love it. I have no regrets. I had an awesome relationship with Ariel for 3 years. And then it ended. But
But you kept on with your practice somehow, right?
Yes, no. So at first there wasn't a Bikram yoga studio in Argentina, so I started swimming again, like
The
kind of
swimming
like the
lessons
swimming,
coming
just
back.
like yes, saved my life every time it was like sinking down, just go swim. Swimming started being not enough, and on in my travels back and forth from Santiago to Buenos Aires. Every time I was going back to Santiago, I was going back to the studio and just taking a couple of walking, dropping classes. Um, and then on one of these visits, they told me, "Hey, you live in Buenos Aires, right? I know some people that are opening a Bikram yoga studio there." I was like, "Really? Okay." So I went back to Argentina and Google every single day, pretty much like Bikram yoga Buenos Aires, Bikram yoga in Argentina, until one day this website like just come out like coming soon, Bikram yoga Buenos Aires. There was a phone number, an email address. I called and emailed them, and there was my friends Carla and Jay. That at that moment we didn't know each other. So they took forever and opened that studio, and it was like, oh my gosh, please guys, like finish. I need my yoga again. I need kind of like something in my life that I know like is going to spark a joy, like bring me like this good sensation that feels like I belong. I'm good here. I can open my heart, my mind, and like give it all, and receive everything back. It was so beautiful, and I needed it. Um, so one day they opened the studio, and I was there the first day.
I'm sure you were. The first class, probably.
I wasn't working. I was working, so I couldn't be there at the first class. I was there in the last class of the first day.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did it go? And that's when you met them.
Yeah,
Carla and
it
Jay.
was funny because I mean, acting school just prepared me for everything. So I was very patient. So I was super excited. I went there. I think Carla taught the class or Isa, doesn't matter. But it wasn't hot enough. It wasn't humid enough. And I noticed that the teachers were kind of rusty. They like never taught in Spanish neither. They always taught in English. And it was kind of like feeling kind of like it's okay, they need more practice. Like Carla is Carla is the best teacher ever.
They are so incredible. They've done
They're
workshops
like-
here. They're incredible, yeah.
But I was like, okay, but it's okay. It's going to get better. I see, like she has always like taught in English. Of course, it's the first time they do it in Spanish. Like, no worries, everything is going to be all right. And just like yes, that was like feeling like every day that they brought like different kind of heaters, extra heaters. They like sealed the room. They did everything they
Tried
could.
to make it happen.
And then one day that studio was the hottest studio in the entire earth, and it was like unbearable. But anyway, it didn't matter. Like everything, like I was going there since like they opened like every day, every day, every day. I pay in advance 1 year, kind of like this year membership.
You knew what you were gonna do.
Yeah, I knew it, and I needed also to save money. So it's like whatever saved me money. I mean, yeah.
How were you supporting yourself at that time?
I was working probably at that time, yeah, in Timberland, this like shoe store,
Nice.
like
Yeah.
an outdoor like
Mhm,
clothing
mhm.
in a mall
Yeah.
in Patio Bullrich.
Beautiful. And at this point, were you still with your partner, or y'all had
Yeah,
already? Okay.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. We were together, and he was like so happy that they opened the yoga studio because I could be happy and have
You
something
knew
on
that
my
you needed-
own.
yes.
Because at that point it was like, okay, I didn't know anyone. It was just like hanging out with him and tagging along with his friends and his things that it wasn't like really my things. So it's like, yeah, at some point it's like, okay, great, yes, you go to yoga, I do my things, you have your friends, I have my friends, and like starting like things like getting more in a better place. But then like our path that was separated, it was separated us more and more and more and more, and then finally we just had to split up.
So it's funny because, in meeting Carla and Jay, because you've brought them in to our community, which we love working with them. What incredible teachers.
You should have them here in the podcast.
Oh, we definitely
For
should.
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I remember when they were here, they were telling us a story about how they met you, and they're like, "Yeah, Monica, she showed up riding on her bike, and we just hear boom, 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 boom." And she'd be like, "Wait, Yoga, it's not open." She's like knocking on the door, riding her bike. They remember her specifically riding her bike, knocking on the door. They're not even open yet, and she's like, "When are y'all opening?" And they like knew who you were before they opened.
And they're
It's
like,
just
I
so
was sending
sweet.
emails and like, hey, okay, I know you are not opening yet, but are you practicing on your own? Can I join you when you practice? We can practice together. You don't have to teach me, just do it together.
Oh, it's so
And
sweet.
they were
You
like,
loved it.
no, we cannot practice. We don't have time. Like, we are just trying to open this studio. Just like, be patient. We call you. Like, don't call us anymore.
Don't
We
call us,
call
we'll call
you
you.
when we are ready. I was like, okay. But I couldn't wait. I keep locking the doors. Like, do you want to come and see the studio? Okay, okay. I went there with my bag. Like, okay, can I see? They were still under construction. I was like, oh, damn. Like, this is still not close to be ready.
So funny.
Until they
Wait.
open.
So, and then how long did you practice with them?
Since day number one, I ran out of my yearly membership that I bought for at first, and they kept asking me, "Hey, Moni, do you want to go to teacher training?" And during like before this year expire, it's like, "Hey, you are going to be a great teacher. Do you want to go to teacher training?" It's like, "Yes, of course, but I have no money. I know knowing I don't know any English. Like, yes, I want, of course." No worries. Start saving now. I was like, okay, then my year expired the studio. You don't pay for more classes. Come here. Do you want to work in the desk? So you start learning how this works. Like we teach you mind body, and that's the way kind of like you don't pay for the classes. You get to know the studio and how we run this, and just save all your money so you can go to teacher training. So I will say probably I was year and a half practicing with them before I went to teacher training, probably.
I love it because it's your love for the practice that brought you to teacher training.
Yes.
You love the practice.
Yes.
And that's exactly who you want to learn from as a student. Somebody that loves it. And like it's cool because hearing this story, it's like they bring up teacher training. It's like because they see your passion, your clarity. It's just I love that because I think that's when one should consider teaching. Just keep practicing. If you're obsessed, then it's you.
Yeah, it was like,
If you're obsessed, then
oh my
it's
gosh.
you. Take that step. Because it's the being obsessed with the practice. I think that makes the best teachers. I mean,
Oh.
yeah.
And it was so clear. I mean, it's like there was like no way that I couldn't follow that call because I never had a call like that in my life
Oh, I
before.
love that.
Yeah.
We're so lucky that you did it. Okay, so wait. Okay, so year and a half, you started behind the desk behind there, so you could
Yeah.
get the free yoga
Yeah.
classes, and then okay, so you saved up enough, and then what? You went?
Yes, I know. I mean, like, I mean, I was working in Argentina. I was like, then at that point, I was probably working in a real estate company, but it was so little. And then, yes, like I never had like great salary. I never had like a so much income that I could like have money to spare like that. So I was saving every penny, but I never so I was like just vouching for the scholarship. It's like there's no way that I can pay this like $10,000. It's like it's impossible. I mean, I don't know how much money I was earning, but I will say like $500 a month, something like that. I don't know. I don't even remember, but it was like an impossible goal. So I said like, okay, I will have to just get the scholarship because there's no way that I can pay for this. But doesn't matter. I mean, and then in one of my visits with my mom, she said like, what's your plan B? What happens if you don't get the scholarship? It's like, I will get it because this impossible. I have no plan B. I mean, what I want to do,
Because the nails are gonna fall from the sky.
Yeah,
Of
exactly.
course.
I'm the hammer. I seen the
Yeah.
nails. I just like need to nail it.
Like you're just waiting for the scholarship. So what happened?
I didn't get the scholarship, of
Did
course.
not get the did not get it? Oh,
No.
okay, what happened?
They like I don't know, like just like people that Bikram choose like that get the scholarship, like people that they know.
Okay.
He offered to Jared McCann, you know. It's
yes,
like
yes.
he didn't know about me. I was no one, so it's like of course, like, and my story maybe it wasn't as sad. It wasn't like I don't know, a drug addict that was saved by this Bikram yoga for someone that took me from the under the bridge to the yoga class, you know. I wasn't this icon. So, but my mom said like, okay, if you don't get the scholarship, I will give you the money and you pay me back. I was like, okay.
Mama.
I know, Mama gave me money, and Mommy gave me
Thank
money.
God for the mothers.
Yeah, and good luck she offered because I wasn't asking.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
wasn't.
wow. So that
yeah.
was a part of the
Yeah, of
the
course.
nails falling from the sky. Your mom offering. Wait, so you took her up on it?
Of course.
Okay, and you
And
went
I-
on the first one that you could, the first training.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like since the first time, like Jay asked me, Money, do you want to go to teacher training? It happened maybe a year. It was a year after because it was kind of like a Bikram Yoga teacher training coming up very soon. It was like, it's impossible. I don't even have a visa to get into the United States. So I don't have the money, I don't have the visa, I haven't learned this style. And like, it's like, I cannot make it for this one. I will be the next one.
So you went in 2011.
Yeah, spring.
So okay, so you were still practicing in
Yeah.
Argentina,
Yeah.
practicing, and then then you in
Yeah.
2011 take the trip.
Yes,
to
and like
Los Angeles.
somehow I don't know what. Like I mean, I sold like these like I mean one or two these super luxury apartments and gave me good commission.
Nice.
And then when we split up with my boyfriend, he kept everything we had in the house, and I kept all the savings, all the money that we had saved. That it was originally saved for vacations and my teacher training. So I got half of the money that I needed saved. Before going, my mom gave me the other half. And then when we came back from teacher training, little by little, I started paying her like little payments, and it was easy. It wasn't hard to pay back that money. It was just like.
But hold up real quick. This is just what I want people to understand. You did not know English in 2011 when you went to this teacher training, taught in English to learn a very lengthy dialogue that lasts 90 minutes, word for word in English. You did that, right? How in the world did you do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did
I
you know
just
the dialogue before? Did you like try to memorize it all before?
Yes, they gave me a little bit of the dialogue in advance. So maybe before traveling, I knew until first part of standing head to knee pose, maybe. For sure until eagle pose.
And you weren't quite sure even what you were saying.
No, I knew it. I mean, there is something. I cannot repeat like words that I don't know.
Oh, so you like knew what you were saying.
Yeah.
You knew the translation.
I was like, yes. So if like, imagine this is the dialogue. I was reading something. Okay, I don't know this word. I was to the dictionary.
Yeah.
I was like translating. Okay,
So
now I
it's
know
kind of
this
like
word.
a part of how you learned English.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly.
It's like
I
the dialogue.
learned with the Bikram dialogue.
If you want to learn English,
Yeah, like fall in love with yoga and go to Bikram yoga teacher training.
it's just a very inconvenient way to learn English. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, you did it. Oh my gosh. And that's one thing that I am also like just flabbergasted by because I only know you speaking English because I'm not fluent in Spanish. I know you speak beautifully all around the studio with anybody that will.
Much better than English,
I love
believe me.
it. No, I love it. But oh my gosh, your heart translates through anything, through what you teach, just because of the clarity and the passion that you bring. But if there's anybody out there that's learning that Bikram dialogue right now, whose English isn't their first language, that's struggling,
It's hard.
what would you tell them right now? They're
So
struggling. They want to teach.
just
but
don't
they-
give up. Just do it. I mean, like, don't. Okay, I learned this phrase that I don't like it, but it's very graphic.
Okay.
How do you eat an elephant? An elephant is giant monster, so much bigger than you. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So it's just that. Don't get overwhelmed with the entire dialogue with all these full words. Just start with the first phrase. One word, two words, three words, four words. Learn that. Okay, you have it. Then move to the next phrase. And then word by word, and that's it. I mean, I did, and I mean, I am not like stupid. I am, yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Yes.
I can learn. So it's just like learned. I don't know how to say it, but like if you want to do that, something, do it and start little by little, step by step, because your heart will take you to the place you need to be because you want to do it. It's like, I don't know how to say it. It's
You
like,
had that clarity.
yeah.
So it seems like you were relentless to getting to that goal. Like no matter what it took, it seemed like even from the beginning, it's like you weren't going to take no for an answer. You were going to learn that dialogue and you're
Yeah.
going to get back there. And so wait, how do you have that faith? How did that, you just knew that this is what you're going to do and you're going to do whatever did you ever doubt when you're in that dialogue in that time when?
Yes, I mean, I thought like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all of these. I don't know if I'm going to fail or not. But like Carla and Jake kept saying like, don't worry, like there are so many people going to teacher training in the same situation that you are. You are not going to be the only one. Just like keep that discipline that you have put for your practice for learning this dialogue.
It's the same.
It's the same thing. And for me, how I said, like, this path was so clear that was my path. So that there wasn't a way for me to get discouraged with this little challenge. I mean, I knew I said, like, okay, I'm going to do horrible in this teacher training. Doesn't matter. It's going to be 9 weeks that I'm going to not understand what's going on, but I need to pass through this to be able to be able to come back and step on the podium and say the things in Spanish. That's what I will be able to do. So it was like, okay, whatever happened in teacher training is going to be in the past after 9 weeks. I just need to get through that, and then it's going to be a different story.
Monica, I can't even, like, putting myself in that position flipped. If I went to that teacher training with all that passion, which I can identify with, but it was all in Spanish, and getting up in front of hundreds of people to say a dialogue verbatim in Spanish, a language that I'm not fluent in, that must have been so transformative and difficult and humiliating.
Yes,
I mean,
of course, yeah.
I mean, not that, I mean, you obviously came out this like strong individual, like you made it through. But that must have been so challenging, right? What?
Yeah, it was
How
like,
did you get through it? Being like not knowing English, how did
okay.
you talk to people?
There was many other Spanish speakers.
Okay.
There were like 4 other people from Chile. I didn't know them. I got to meet them. There were like plenty of people from Mexico, people from Colombia. We from Buenos Aires. There were two of us. Connie, that she spoke English perfectly, so she was kind of my translator. So it's like, okay, I was going with Connie. If I need to ask something, okay, Connie is going to be the one that will help me. So it's like, okay, I have Connie.
Nice.
And then like people from Spain, people from all over. So it's like I wasn't the only one in my situation, and that was true. And I could communicate with all the Spanish speakers, but it was very frustrating to don't be able to communicate freely with all the other 400 people that didn't speak Spanish. But little by little, it's amazing how, yes, I learned a lot in those 9 weeks. I learned because I was learning the words from the dialogue, and I knew what every single word of the dialogue means. So, okay, I had some vocabulary there. And then I was speaking with the other Spanish speakers, and then little by little I was able to kind of pick up some things here and there. Like I was listening in the lectures, and at the beginning was kind of like, okay, I understand nothing. It's like blah 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 blah, and little by little I was like, okay, now I pick this, I pick there, like, and I was starting to understand what the lectures were about and learning a little bit.
Gosh, this must. I could. Yeah, I just want our listeners to know, especially if there's anybody that doesn't feel 100% comfortable even speaking English, and if they have this passion to teach the original hot yoga sequence. Here's somebody that blazed that path, and that if this helps ignite that faith that you can, like, here
Yeah,
it
and
is.
there was one. It's not only that I didn't um, I didn't speak English. It's like I hate it. Like, I mean, we have in Chile mandatory English classes, and I hated it so badly. I didn't understand. It was like I don't get what's the logic of this language. Now I understand a little bit more of what are kind of like some rules, grammar rules. Like I'm not even good in language in Spanish. I mean, I am very good talking in Spanish. I am very good writing in Spanish, but it's not my field for sure. I don't know. Like if you're starting like ask me like deep like
Grammar stuff.
and it's like don't talk up like please not. I know how to say it right, but I don't know. I don't expect like the name or the explanation or why this like the subject and the noun and the like. No, don't ask me those things. I hate it. I think it's like boring. In Spanish, I can understand it, don't like it. In English, it's like no, don't give me this. I hate it. It's not logic. I don't understand. I like this. Like no, I hated it so bad.
But you relentlessly pursued.
But like
You made it through
yeah.
the 9-week training. So
Yeah.
what was that like? How did you, at the end of it, were you like ready to teach this class, or how did that work when you went back to Argentina? Like,
Yes and no. I mean, then I had to, after I passed through learning all the postures in English, I had to grab my dialogue in Spanish and refresh everything and with the Spanish words. And I had, before I left LA, I had my first class schedule. Okay, you are going to teach your first class
Perfect.
this day. That was 1 week after training.
Woo!
So I was like, okay, what happened if I'm not prepared? You will have to be. You'll survive. You'll make the way to like finish this class. Okay. So the first class was horrible. It was a struggle. It was like trying to find the words and kind of like not enjoying what I was doing, feel like I'm going to die here. Okay. The other people, I was feeling like these people are dying because I don't know what words are next. And like, oh, it was so stressful. But then it kind of like, okay, it's out. I did it first time. And then the second time, I was a little bit more prepared because I knew what was my weakness in the first class. And then each class was better than the class before. And then one day I was able to do it without like feeling like I was like, I don't know, sweating cold, you know?
Yeah. So you were teaching in Argentina for how long before, which we're talking about I want our listeners or our interviews complete because there's so much more to discuss. I wish there was more time. But I want our listeners to understand the culture of the traveling teacher in Bikram culture. And those days, if you went through teacher training, it basically gave you an access pass to this like inner club where you could travel the world.
Yeah, it was great. I was more or less 1 year in Argentina teaching as much as I could there. When I was traveling to Chile visiting families, I taught a few classes in Chile too. So that gave me like experience of teaching in other studios. Um, yeah, and after this year, I broke up with we broke up together with my Argentinian boyfriend the day of going to teacher training.
Oh wow, that must have been a lot.
That was a lot.
Oh,
Yes.
Monica.
And like it was like I was feeling like completely up in the air, and it was a totally new chapter of my life.
Yeah.
Because I was like 3 years with him in Buenos Aires. All my life in Buenos Aires was with him. Flew to LA 9 weeks and went back and didn't have boyfriend, didn't have house, didn't have anything. Just like start this new life. And I was living with Carla said like, no worries, if you need to, just like if your relationship ends, you come to live with us. I know, I know, I know. So
No
yeah,
wonder you
oof.
guys are so close now. I met them at your house for the first time before they came here. They're very close friends of yours.
Oof, they are family and they changed my life. Oh my God.
Oh.
And Jay was the one that walked me uh, through the aisle when I got married. Yeah, he was the one that gave me away.
Okay, well, we have to talk about that,
Yes.
but real quick, let's talk about the traveling.
Okay.
Because there was about 3 years, right? You left
More or
Argentina,
less, yeah.
and you traveled and taught for 3 years.
Yes. So like also like it kept like this little seed that was inside of me that I wanted to travel the world somehow, and so like, okay, this is the way.
The nails are falling from the sky for the hammer. Perfect. Here we go.
So now I'm becoming this traveling yoga teacher. So at that point, yeah, this was like kind of like this yoga practice was booming, like blooming.
What year was this?
2011, 12 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like it started like blooming a little earlier than that, but it was still very like in a very good place, and many studios were opening in places that they never was a studio before, so they needed so many teachers because if there was in a new place, then no one is there like teaching this yoga. So there was this Facebook group page, Traveling Yoga Teachers, where every studio owner around the world needing teacher put a post, or any teacher that was around the world said like, okay, I am in here in this city is, or I'm traveling to where. So there was like posting like, okay, we need a Bikram yoga teacher in Sydney, Australia. We need a Bikram yoga teacher in Guadalajara, Mexico. Like here in Dallas, Texas. So, like you saw, what was offered, the offer, where you wanted to go, contacted that studio owner, and like then buy a plane ticket and do it.
Okay, so you spent 3 years traveling, teaching.
Yeah, it
on the
wasn't.
road.
Yeah, but the first year, actually, I started like, okay, I'm going to Guadalajara to this, the studio of this lady that had opened recently. It was less than 1 year open, and we met actually at the airport, LAX, the day we went to teacher training. So we arrived at the airport with Connie, my friend from Argentina, from Buenos Aires, and we saw this other lady waiting for the shuttle, going to the Radisson Hotel. And she looked like kind of like a yogi, and we would look at each other like, "Are you going to teacher training?" Yes, we do. Like, okay, and we met. So this lady Liliana was the one that recently opened this studio in Guadalajara. So like, okay, I'm going there, starting there, and then see what happens. I went there without a commitment, without a plan, and I ended pretty much staying for one entire year. In that year, anyways, I kept traveling back and forth from Chile and Argentina sometimes, and after that, it was like more of a little bit of the trouble.
Oof. Around Central and South America, mostly? Anywhere across the pond, or you mostly stayed?
Just like North America and just North, South, Central America. Okay.
One more question.
Okay.
The question is, Andrew, when did you meet Andrew? Because you got married in a hot room after a Bikram yoga class, and Jay walked you down the aisle.
Yeah. And
So-
our house called
The dress? The
no,
wedding
the
dress?
officer.
The
The guy that's like
yes,
now
yes,
that I
yes.
declared you wife and
yes,
whatever.
initiate.
That guy was another Bikram yoga teacher, of course,
Nice.
Shannon. Okay, he was from teaching in Fort Worth, We got married in Grapevine, and Andrew was originally like from here, from Dallas.
And he was Andrew. You met him through the Bikram yoga community as well too. He had gone through teacher training.
Yes,
and you met him here.
we met because he was teaching in Arlington. We met one class that he was teaching another friend, Misha. So like, Monica, let's go take together this class with Andrew, and then we can all go together for lunch. I was like, okay, that's a plan. So we did. And I was asking to everybody I knew at that point for if they have a spare car. Because the car that I was using from Jay was a very old van that had like a lot of problems. So it like kept like stopping, like the engine stopped like suddenly, like out of like so many, like, and I had to do all this like troubleshooting with the car, the battery, and whatever. It was like, it was stressful. I was like feeling like, I'm going to just like be in the middle of the highway, like just stop here and not able to move, you know. So I kept asking like, hey, do you have a second car that I can borrow? To everybody. And then like I met Andrew. We were like in this restaurant with all the other yoga teachers, and I said like, hey, do you have a second car? Oh no, I had one, but like someone wrecked it. But I had a second motorcycle. Do you want to just like, I can
A motorcycle.
Yeah, I can borrow you. You can borrow my motorcycle. I was like, okay, I guess let me keep asking if someone else has a real car. If it's not, I will take your motorcycle. So finally, I took the motorcycle, and they're like, and that's how everything comes.
Oh, okay. And then, sorry. Okay, and then it happened. But we just really quickly, we're gonna end. But I need to hear about that. Okay, you were taking. Was it an official yoga class, or was like everybody just invited to this Bikram yoga class?
Official yoga class.
So it was just a random class in Arlington, and normal like, people were there practicing. And then at the end, they're like, okay,
let's go to
Monica's gonna get married. No.
The class that we got married. That was in Grapevine.
Okay, Grapevine.
Yes, no. I mean, we invited our
an
close
official
friends.
Class, or is it a class that just existed?
It was an official class.
Okay.
It was a class kind of like 10-15, something like that, in the day, like on a, I don't even remember which day of the week was. Maybe Thursday, but kind of like a random day. There was a class that's supposed to be after that class, and we canceled that class, and we didn't say anything to anyone. Of course, the studio owner was like, just so happy to have us getting married there. So she was like, okay, let's cancel the class. Let's do this. We told all our important friends, like Atina was there, the former studio owners of Dallas Studio, David and Karen, they were there. They were very close friends with Andrew, Atina, Julie, from here. So Andrew taught the 8 a.m. class. Then we took this class together. Like, it was packed with all our friends and random people that show up for the class because we didn't advertise the class or anything like that.
Were you wearing anything special for class?
No, but after class, I changed into a white leotard and like a dancer, like white skirt.
What did you wear?
Like a Lululemon shirt with a bow tie just here.
So sweet.
And you got shorts, and we were all sweaty, super sweaty.
And it goes down in history. And then Pia comes to us, our beautiful Pia, your daughter.
Yeah. So after class, I just sneak out after like maybe a rabbit pose, and then after class in Savasana, he got up and said like, hey, something special is going to happen if you want to stay after Savasana, and then. In Savasana, just like we had like in the wall these like lightings that looks like an arc. So we turned on the lights, we opened out the side door, and it was like going in, walking with Jay, and then like happened.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to tell you one more thing about Monica before I leave you. Monica has this analogy that she gives her students in class that specifically is like, I think, the theme for her energy, her relentless energy, in regard to her passion, which is, you've seen it here in this interview, the yoga practice and following that passion and that clarity relentlessly. And I think that's the pursuit of the yogi, to be relentless. in your pursuit towards awareness and consciousness, and what's revealed. And she has this analogy that she references, which is when the Titanic went down and all of the musicians kept playing as the ship was sinking. And if you've ever watched Monica practice, she embodies those musicians. She will go down with the ship and she will not stop practicing. She's like standing head to knee. She like can't keep her breath, but if the ship is sinking, doesn't matter. She is relentless in her pursuit. And we have so much to learn from Monica. Thank you so much for tuning in to Pure Yoga Talk. I'm Lane. We'll see you next time.